Hello and welcome to the Brickfreaks. Today with a little bit ill Frank. Sorry, but yeah, the flu. Okay, here we have the LaFerrari from Cada. Model number is C61505, I believe. If not, you've seen it in the thumbnail. Okay, this is a 4700 pieces Technicar from Thies de Boer. He's the designer for Cada, or the mocker, and now you can watch the assembly takes, where I tell you for each building step something about the car in the assembly, and then I will tell you in the next step, is this a good investment, is this a good car or not? Oh, building step 1 is done, and it took me nearly 3 hours for one building step, because this is a complicated, really bulky piece of Technic plastic, so it's incredible. I've never built such a suspension and such a steering. That's incredible, new, really well made. Designer is gorgeous. Okay, let's start. What do we have? We have steering, and you see, it steers, no problem at all. Okay, what else do we have? When I steer, watch the height of the suspension. You see this? It moves a little bit up and down. Not much, but so you can go faster into the curves when the suspension goes down on the side you're turning in. So that's really great. Well made. When I attach here axle and turn, I can adjust the whole height of the suspension. That's another great thing. The steering is here, and on top of it is another steering Technic beam, and that's connected to the suspension. So both works. The suspension goes up and down, and I can steer. Okay. What else do we have? We have here the possibility later to shift the gears. You see, this is always turning a little bit, so we can change the gears later on. This will connect it here to the drive box. Okay, that's great. That's one of the best starts of a Technic set I have ever had. With unique techniques, you really have to be concentrated, but it's really gorgeous. Incredible building techniques. The designer admitted Cada put in some small mistakes, but I will show them you. They start with building step 2, or Cada calls them B. Here in A, it's like the designer intended it, but with B we have to make slightly modifications to the original design from Thies de Boer. But man, is this here a gorgeous set. But like I said, really be concentrated, take your time. It's not easy to build this. And when you have mistakes here, yes, it will go through the whole set. So keep that in mind. Take your time. It's better, because in the end you can not fix it. So with every step, take your time, check that every function is working, and then put it together. Okay, so next building, step B, brings us the middle part of the car, the seats. So I'm done with all the building steps, and before I assemble them, because this is not a modular house, it's a modular car, I can show you all the building steps in a row, so that makes it much easier for me. Okay, first was the front axle, steering and suspension. Here we have the monocoque with 2 seats, nice to build, really, they're unique. I haven't built, most of you know, the people who follow my channel longer, I've built 50 to 60, perhaps 70 of these supercars, or in 1x6, 1x8, 1x10, 1x12. And I'm always happy when the seats are unique, and these are unique seats, really entertaining to build. but we have 2 different or 3 different red tones. It's not too obvious, but if you have a closer look, you see it. Okay, here we have the first changes, or you have to do the first changes if you want that everything is running well. Like I said, the link to the corrections of the designer to the PDF, it's not much, and you don't need much pieces. Link is in the video description. Okay, so let's go through. First thing is, you see here is the axle is outstanding. In the instruction it is plain with the yellow gear. So in the Cada used 3 length and the designer used a 6 length. So you need a 6L axle and the X connector here, so that the function is going further on into, you see it in the next, into the gearbox. Okay, so this is, here you need additional pieces, and here you have to build it not like in the instructions. When you build it in the instructions 2 times the same way, then this here is standing up. So you have to mirror it, so both are go in the same direction. So that's obvious. That's a mistake you figured out yourself, so that's no problem. Here perhaps you thought, why isn't it going into the gearbox? Perhaps some figured it out and some people thought, why is not the functions, why are they not complete? Okay, nothing special, really. After the not very difficult, but the technical improved first part with steering, suspension and everything, this here was much easier and took me only 2 hours instead of 3. We have 2 connections to the rear of the car, this here, and underneath here in the frame is the second connection that goes to the next part of the car. Okay, so building step 2. Building step 3 or C are 2 parts, the back axle and the gearbox. Here you don't have to make changes, that's okay, like you build it. We assembled the normal Technic motor with 12 cylinders. It's a V form. We have really nice chromed exhaust pipes. Yeah, nothing special here, and here are no changes. You build it like in the instructions. It's an entertaining build, and even here we have that the suspension here is going with this piece, goes up and down like the front axle, and we have the second differential, and it's the old differential, not the new one that Lego, and I believe Cada has it too. Okay, very entertaining, nice to build, not so difficult as A or building step 1. The only thing I don't get is here these orange pipes. They are connected to nothing, only here, and I don't get it in. So, but here's no connection. It's just ending. That's, it looks a little bit odd. Okay, next is the gearbox. Here we have the new piece of Cada, because the other piece that Molking uses and Lego uses, Lego has a patent on that, and Cada is selling worldwide. So they are, that's the reason you have the frame here in 2 pieces. That's a technical problem. So they have a patent on this frame. So Cada did it in 2 pieces, and here they designed a relatively complex piece of Technic, because the Lego solution was so easy. It was only 1 piece. This is like a small box here, and inside is really something going on. There's a little red fork, you see this here? This is connected to here, and when you shift it, it has the same effect. And the other fork is going here, the same here, 1 fork is going there, and the other fork is going down here. And it has the same function, but it looks very different, and I believe it's much more complicated and expensive in production. Okay, here we have a change, or you need to have, at least T stated, the designer, he changed. Here you need this T Technic beam, the 3x3 Technic beam into T form. in the instructions is the 3x5 technic beam, the angled one. And with that you will have problems. So this goes over there, so here is a hole. Normally the 3x5 technic beam is going through here. So you need one additional T technic beam to make this change. If you don't do it, the gearbox is not working correctly. I believe you can only use 3 instead of 6 forward gears. Okay, so this was building step 3 or C, like Cada. Next is obviously D, and you see it's the complete rear part with chromed exhaust parts, really nice. This here is a normal chromed modified blade with studs on one side, and it makes the brake here, you see, it's moving, that's the air brake. You can use, okay, here you can make changes. You don't need to, or I didn't, mine is working, but with some people it makes problems. I don't have problems, but I changed here this here. Normally there is a 3-length bar in red. There are at least 60 or 70 in the whole set for the connections. I never built a Technic set with that kind of connection in so many places. And the designer said, here please use the 10 Technic axle pin without friction, so the function is more steady, and you can counter here the rear light with another modified round blade. I didn't do it, this year's holding for me well enough. Okay, technically very interesting and nice to build. Really, this is a master set, it deserves. This here just angled, just connectors in weird angles. Yeah, nothing more to say. Okay, next was, where is it? Where is it? Here, front part, the hood. Here are no changes. Here the rotors are very rotating. Yeah, a lot of odd angles. But in the end, and these parts here, I have never seen these parts. I know them from Ninjago, but now they are in a Technic set. Yes, okay. And this is the T Technic beam I mentioned for the gearbox. Okay. It looks very interesting and nice. The building techniques are cool and sometimes very unique. And yes, odd angles, but well made. Yeah. Nothing special. Okay, next was the only building step I didn't enjoy. That's here the cover for the back of the car. And this for me was the least entertaining part, because, wait, I show you. The instructions is not always very good. And you see this here. There are so many connectors in odd, strange angles, and you see a lot of these black bars I mentioned. At least 60 or 70 for the whole set. So here and here and there and there and everywhere. And this is, you really have to concentrate. So like I said, I didn't like this part, and this here, the flex axles, they don't have a really counterpart. So this is holding, this here always flips out. Yeah. Okay, that's a little bit odd that we have no counterpart. Yeah, I didn't like this part. And last but not least, the wing doors, they are very entertaining. They are really heavy and have a really certain width. I built them synchronously, mirrored, so I saved a lot of time. This was the building step I only needed 1 hour. For the first it was 3 hours, and then mostly 2 to 2.5. And this year 1 hour, and I believe now I have to bring everything together, and I will need another hour. Okay, so if everything is well, we see us in a few seconds with the finished car. So, after 17 to 18 hours of assembly here, you see in the pictures, you see in the assembly videos. So, let's go through, because I'm very ill and I don't know how long my voice will hold. So, let's make it quick. 2 instruction booklets together, over 500 pages. Sticker sheet not used, because obviously it's the wrong stickers. It's not a Ferrari, it's not a Mustang or the horse. Sorry for the noise, that's the white here. Oh man, okay, I hope I get this done. Instructions. Link to the PDF corrections is in the video description. I told it you in the assembly part. You have to make 2 or 3 changes to get it all done, that everything is working fine here. It's not much. You need a 6-length axle, a normal 1LX stopper, and you need the T Technic beam 3x3 and the 1x4 or 1x4, 2x4 Technic beam, 2x5. The angled one. That's everything you need. Okay. Instructions are not really very good. They are okay. Not the mistakes, but sometimes you have to guess where to put the pieces on. It doesn't show you. And the only building step I didn't like, 6, here the cover of the engine here, is horrible to see here in the instructions. I didn't like the building step, I didn't like the instructions on that part. So overall, it's a B-. It could be better. I have seen worse instructions, but it could be better. Okay. The design of the assembly is great, because it's modular. In the end, you put all the pieces together. The design is so great of this assembly, really. The techniques he used, the parts he used, great. Only this building step here for the cover. The rest is, for me, was so enjoyable and one of the best building experiences I have ever had with a 1x8 Hyper supercar. So absolutely great teas, absolutely great. But change this here. If you make another instructions with corrections, and please change a little bit the assembly here of the back cover. And not the assembly, but how it's shown in the instructions. That's not very cool. And when I look here, I see different angles. And we come to this here later. This here will happen so often. So often. That's one of the weakest points of the set. The usage of the system bricks and the clutch power of the system bricks. So I'm happy he didn't make this drivable with power functions, because if you touch anything barely, this here will always come down. And a lot of the hex spoiler here will come down. This happened in the assembly when I pushed the last things together. So like I said, the assembly is great, all the pieces you put together. Only here the last, the back of the car with the spoiler and the air brake. When you try to push this together and you're touching the wrong pieces, they fall apart. They fall apart. That's not so good. That's the only part of the whole assembly. The end cover here, or the engine cover, and the heck spoiler, the rear spoiler. When you put this together, that's the most difficult part of the whole set, in my opinion. Okay, piece quality, good to very good. We have only one connector axle combination that is a little bit loose, the rest is okay. Good to very good, not the system parts. They are often connected on 1 or 2 studs, and they are falling apart the whole time. So that's very annoying, in my opinion. And I believe that's one of the reasons this thing here is not motorized, because when you touch something a little bit, everything falls apart. Here it's not. I've connected this 100 times and it will fall apart in a few seconds. The same here. Just lay it in and don't touch it, and then it's okay. Okay, functions. We have a functional 8 gearbox with 6 forward gears, neutral and backwards. All functioning, no problem. I don't want to lift this up and show to you, because when I lift it up, a lot of will fall apart. But believe me, the gearbox is working. It's not easy, because you have to go in there here, but it's really working. All of the gears are working. Now something is disconnected. Okay. We have the wing doors. We have an openable hood here. Come on. I don't open this here, because then things will fall apart. When we're steering, you don't see it. But this car has, like the original, one special feature. The suspension is connected to the steering. So that's really, really cool. And it uses building techniques I have never seen before. But you don't see it barely. When I do it, you see nothing that the suspension is going up, down a little bit. You don't see it. So it's a complicated function, and you don't see it really. So, okay. And we have here the movable spoiler and flaps for braking. And like I said, I'm so unhappy with the angles in this car. Annoying, isn't it? It's really annoying. Okay. When you put in here, we have hand of God steering. Come on. And we bring it on here. You see the suspension is going up and down. So a lot of nice functions. But the suspensions function, that's the most complicated part on the set, and you don't see it really, because it's only in a millimeter. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's complicated and you don't see it. Like the engine, the 12 cylinder. You build it, it's connected, and you don't see it moving. So, oh, sorry. I believe we have to cut here. My voice and my throat will not hold it longer. We have 58 centimeters in length. We have between 12 and 13 centimeters in height. I don't see it really good. And we have a width of 28 centimeters. So this is in my top 5 of the most of the best 1x8 super hyper technic cars. It's absolutely in the top 5. In the beginning, I thought this will be my new number 1. And number 1 is the McLaren P1 from Bruno JJ1. And the McLaren is still the better car, because the functions are better. I had preferred here openable flying doors with a mechanism instead of this suspension thing that you don't see. So now I can make this here up. It's the last part of the... So you see, when you push this here up, a lot of things are going loose. So yeah. I don't know. This back plate is horrible, the construction is horrible, and the usage of the normal system pieces here doesn't work at all. Because the clutch power is not high enough, or they are sitting only on 1 or 2 studs. So there are a lot of things that are wobbling around. It's a display set, it looks gorgeous, it makes mostly fun with the assembly, but it's really a display set. Put it on the shelf, don't touch it again, have fun with the assembly, but don't touch it, don't use the functions. Yeah, it's wobbly, and the next piece is flying around, and yes, for me, that's a little bit frustrating. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm Frank, your Brick Freak, and I hope I'm in better condition in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.